Let me see if I'm on. I'm coming on a little bit earlier today. I wanted to reach out to as many people as I can because we have huge breaking news. This is day 1363. No sign of life of our son, Richard Halliday, the Fort Bliss whistleblower. The Fort Bliss whistleblower that was retaliated against by his command continuously and severe. Um, uh, he was forced to move from tortured, murdered, and his remains disposed of after being dismembered. And we um, we weren't informed that he was missing. Um, Time went by, and so when we found out, they kicked us out. The military said, "It's too late. You're gone." This is Richard is the Vanessa Guillen first absent soldier because we petitioned back to them because of what happened with Vanessa Guillen, with Greg Morales. We knew our son. We knew what they were telling us was absolutely insane. It was so far reaching that you couldn't believe it at all. And we wanted answers. And so after social media, uh, a viral post about Richard, they put him back on the rolls, and the dirty CID in this. And they are absolutely dirty. We didn't know at the time, but they're absolutely dirty. Um, Brought Richard back on the rolls and started investigating. And that's when the search was, uh, let's just say, staged, because they absolutely knew what happened to Richard. And while we were in El Paso looking ourselves, because the CID made us our son's investigators, and I hope I'm live, so let me see if I'm live. Let's see if I'm on. Yes, okay. I get ahead of myself sometimes because this gets so emotional. All right. Um, and we're not allowed to be emotional because the CID made us our sons investigators, made us not only his advocates, but almost a law degree out of this. So here we are, almost 1,363. And that number is not, that's give or take a few days on that. And because so much information has been withheld from us. Well, after um, our investigation pointed to tampering, tampering of evidence, harassing witnesses, tampering with audio, tampering with video, retaliating against whistleblowers in our son's case, retaliating against witnesses, um, just blocking and blocking and blocking, denying, uh, not doing their duties. And I'm talking about from our representatives to generals to the district attorney to the um, officials there, the FBI, dirty, very dirty, Jesus Eddie Nieto Jr., um, and into the Department of State, since Richard's case is a binational case, even messing with the Interpol by submitting a tampered photograph of Richard to the Interpol, um, a superimposed image of Dallas Hart, the key suspect of for the murder of our son, um, over his image. And what that's a very big deal, because I don't think the Interpol takes to that kind of tampering lightly, and that messes with facial recognition, um, they use those photographs at the ports of entry, including all the airports and train stations, bus stations, all around the world, to help identify. In this case, Richard was a yellow notice, which is a missing notice, which tells you that he never was legitimately a deserter, or a criminal, like they wanted to, that like they passed on, like they wanted to tell the whole law enforcement community, because the control of the narrative is within the law enforcement community to deceive those that are really serious about their duties as law enforcers. And, so they get fed wrong information. And the Interpol is a very good example of that. Of course, what Jesus Nieto did with Nadal Baim after that incident, where FBI agent Nadal Baim walks into the Dollar General store and tells the cashier that the FBI have found Richard in Juarez, Mexico, and he's dead. And they were, looking in 5 different places because they, anyway, she didn't understand that. She didn't understand that. We understand that now. Um, the withholding of that information, with Ted Cruz, he had a whistleblower complaint on his desk in his hands of the CID being involved in tampering with our son's case and obstructing justice in our son's case. And yet he did not mention that to the Secretary of the Army. He did not mention that to us. He did not notify us in that letter. That was a very good letter, but it's really gone down as far as the level of it, because he should have mentioned to us that he had a whistleblower complaint from a judge in his official office of tampering with our son's case and obstructing justice in our son's case. So this is a huge failure in Senate Cruz. When we've approached him about that, he has even denied addressing us about this. He sends some other little person in his office to talk to us about this capital murder case, and by national capital murder case of a whistleblower of a U.S. Army soldier, right there in El Paso, Texas, right there in the borderland, you know, and he doesn't even want to address those very important positions. He did months ago, maybe a year ago, invite us to Washington, D.C. At that time, we didn't know this information. He should have said, I have something very, very important to tell you. You need to get up here. Or he could have come to us. Or he could have related that information to Lindsey Graham, our senator. Lindsey Graham refusing to ever even meet with us. And he's such a chicken hawk. He's such a chicken. He wants our soldiers to go to war and bleed for our country, die for our country. And yet, when a soldier is retaliated against for reporting wrongdoings within Fort Bliss, he doesn't advocate when we have all this evidence that he has been murdered, and that there has been all kinds of foul play and all kinds of regulations broken, all kinds of laws broken, and that other soldiers like Glendon Oakley Jr. has been hurt in this, like Asia Graham has been hurt in this, and many more, and even a judge's son was hurt in this, and the media covered that up because it's a judge's son, right? So the foul play, and then Richard's case is intertwined with the Walmart mass shooting. And Senator Graham and Senator Cruz don't think that's important. Senator Cornyn doesn't think that's important. And William Timmons doesn't think that's important. And this is all by memory right now. I can name more and more and more. And then they consult with the CID for answers, the very CID that is involved in the wrongdoing, in the foul play. So it has been a very heartbreaking journey for us. Heartbreaking. Because we ourselves, our home was searched illegally by the Fugitive Apprehension Group. The retaliation by these vile and vulgar sex cultists, and they are absolutely involved in sex cult activity, the most selfish, the most violent type of sexual activity. They have no sense for care of anybody else, not even for themselves. They are the most violent, sexually violent cultists that are vile and vulgar and don't even blink an eye to hurt other people. Not even children. They are pedophiles, or they look the other way when pedophiles are in their sex cult. It is all pornography is child sex trafficking, okay? That is very, very clear now. Very clear. These are sex cultists. They are sick, and the only way I can explain them are they are the spawn of Satan. The spawn of Satan. And it's been almost 4 years, and I have really held back. Sometimes I've had to say things, but I've tried to stay very, very focused, and I am saying this in a very focused manner because we have breaking news. I don't know if you know this, but this weekend was a huge move for Team Find Richard Halliday. We filed an amicus notice to the SB4 case, which is the case that allows law enforcement police to arrest illegal individuals in our country. Illegally in this country, they can arrest them, okay? And there's more to it. But it's the SB4 case. And because this involves El Paso, it involves Texas. So, of course, El Paso is in Texas. I don't know if people know their geography, but El Paso is the Siamese twin sister of Juarez, Mexico. Juarez is in the state of Chihuahua, Mexico. So that borders, and it also borders along New Mexico. So, it is a very desirable place for trafficking weapons, trafficking ammunition, trafficking humans, trafficking child sex trafficking. El Paso is the home of Fort Bliss. Fort Bliss, huge, was the home of the Emergency Intake Center. 2021, 2022, 85,000 missing children. It's been going on for a long time, but just to give you some reference to what is going on there. And this is a huge swath of controlled area by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Many people in our son's case are LDS, because Romney's father was born across the border in Chihuahua, Mexico, in what is known as Colonial Juarez. They have, and I'm saying it wrong, but you know, and that's where a temple is. Of course, Juarez has another temple. You know, very Colonial Juarez, or Novo Casa Grandes, is Colonial Dublin, is beautiful area, very posh, very posh. They have a beautiful school there, everything, and that is all in Mexico. And so the cartel are absolutely involved in this. If the Latter-day Saints wanted to stop this criminal activity, they absolutely could do it. They're very powerful there. They have hundreds of billions of dollars. And you heard me right, not millions, hundreds of billions of dollars. They are very, very wealthy. They are very powerful because of that. If they wanted to help with and stopping border crime, they could do it. Okay? But yet, their members, many of their members, are involved in the criminal activity that surround Richard's case, or in Richard's case. It's bad. It's bad. We have written them, so we'll see. We'll see. And I have to give you this kind of information because this is all well documented, well known. And if you are LDS, this is not a slight against you. This is a call for you to make sure that your leadership is doing the right thing for the safety of your families. That's what that is. Okay? Because our leadership has let us down. Our leadership has absolutely let us down. And part of that leadership is the district attorney of the 34th Judicial District there in El Paso. And it was Jaime Esparza when Richard went missing during while Richard was a whistleblower, which came first, and then the Walmart mass shooting, and then of course Richard's forced disappearance and murder, and cover up. And at the end, in 2020, he retired for 30 years. He thought he was going to retire anyway, and he can tell me, you know, he knows this case very well. He signed lots of documents. He retired. They had decided of a favorite that would replace him. That did not work out for him. Yvonne Rosales was an upset victory for the I would say the criminals in the area. She was voted in, duly elected district attorney, the first female to be put in that. You know, the people of El Paso, I think they knew. They were sick of it. And so they voted for Yvonne Rosales. And she made it in. And that was, she took office 2021. Okay? Just to let you know, 2021. January 2021 was the beginning, the real shutdown of everything because of COVID. So she began in a very, and I'm not making excuses for her. I'm not saying she was perfect. I'm saying she went into that office and they didn't like it. That's what I wanted to say. And she was trying to bring these cases forward, these capital murder cases forward. And she was looking into Richard's case, okay? So, and this is all during COVID. And when they don't like you, they do all kinds of tricksters. These are tricksters. These are hoaxsters. These are manipulators. These are sex cultists. These are just the worst type of people to have around you. And I just want to make that very, very clear when you take an office like that, what you have to deal with. And I think that's been very evident in what President Trump has gone through. The amount of lies and manipulation and hoaxes and frauds and lawfare and everything uh, that uh, just like Richard being framed, right? Richard being framed to discredit him, and yet he beat that. He beat it because he was so beautiful. He was so beautiful in that video. You know, he was so respectful um, to the fraudsters, themselves. He was respectful. And, I don't know if he knew the implications of that, even after he was murdered, the implications of his character. And they're great. They are just great because it shows his character. And for a 20-year-old, he was 20 years old in that video. And these sex cultists think nothing of judging a 20-year-old and damning them. This is how evil they are. They are so evil. And so they grab hold of these positions. And if you're trying to do a good job, it is a battle. They make your life miserable. And that's why we need accountability. Because the best people, and there is no one good, right? There's no one really good. You get in position, you have weak spots, and you have life and whatever, but you're trying to do the right thing. You're trying to hit the mark. And Yvonne Rosales was trying. She was really trying. And in the midst of all of that, and they didn't like it. And she decided to go after the head of the snake over there. And that is the El Paso Community Foundation. Because that is real manipulation. That is real manipulation. And when you have all this money, you can control even the media. And of course, the El Paso Community Foundation owns El Paso Matters, which means Bob Moore has to do their bidding. And he targeted our son's case, along with Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, along with Lalani Hart. And they wanted to control the narrative because people don't want to say Richard Halliday. They don't want to really investigate because it leads to the fraud, the absolute murderous criminality of the orchestrated Walmart mass shooting and what they did to Richard and what they did to others. Because there's so much there. There's so much, and I'm not at liberty to say it all. But the breaking news is, and why am I giving you such a history on a day like today? Because for years and I'm going to get my notes up at this point so that that I won't miss a beat on this, because I can say it absolutely by heart. But I want to tell you that the complaints to the county prosecutor, Joanne Bernal, has been going on for a long time, years. And when Yvonne Rosales was retaliated against for investigating the, like, I think it was 2 days later. Okay, so we put together a timeline, and she started an investigation with, and please correct me if you're in that office and you're watching. She started an investigation into El Paso Community Foundation and the way they were handling the funds that they had collected from beautiful people giving money to the victims of the Walmart mass shooting. And they took in that money, and they gave tens of thousands of dollars to Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia. I would say almost $100,000. And yet, to the little baby that suffered broken bones and was now an orphan, that baby got nothing. There were a lot of questions there that needed to be investigated. She started that, and she also fired John Briggs, the assistant district attorney in charge of capital murder cases. She fired him. 2 days later, Bob Moore was in the social media, right there in public, discussing how can we get rid of Yvonne Rosales. And he was joined by Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia's attorney, Justin Underwood. And Bill Hicks played a part in all of this with this letter, with just the right attorney, which just the right attorney was in their collaboration, in their plan, in their scheme, included Omar Carmona, who went and filed the petition against Yvonne Rosales to remove her. And Bill Hicks was then to be the DA. But he had conflicts of interest. He absolutely is involved in the Walmart mass shooting case and in our son's case. He had conflicts of interest. He was representing Purchase Funeral Homes. Purchase Funeral Homes that had handled the deceased of the Walmart mass shooting. Now, this is really important because this conflict of interest should have disqualified him from being the DA to prosecute the Walmart mass shooting, because Purchase Funeral Homes was a key witness in the case. And maybe that explains why Bill Hicks did not follow the instructions of the Secretary of State that he should fill out his statement of officer, which is the anti-bribery statement, before he is sworn in as district attorney. He did not do that. I did not find that out. Investigations were going on. And they have released this information to us now. We learned from the El Paso Inc. article that there was a huge question that Bill Hicks was a usurper in the office, that he was not in that role legally, that he needed to be removed. But now we have more breaking news. Because the investigation was well documented, and all of that evidence about him failing to sign the statement of officer, the emails requesting it a month later, more than a month later, it being illegally tampered with the timestamp back. We still don't have a copy of it to see the stamp itself. Why are they withholding that? Right? He should be holding it up, saying, look, I'm the district attorney, but he is not doing that. There is lots of proof. We have been given all the evidence. And this was a result of people knowing about us. You see, you had to look for Richard Halliday, find Richard Halliday. You had to look for it, right? People had to share this information for people to even be aware that of Richard's case. But because we filed the amicus notice with the SB4 case, and that was sent out to the parties of that case, as many that we know of, right? And there was more. I'm sure there's more. And to as many media outlets that we could find. We shared that. We were then contacted by those that had investigated Bill Hicks and who had shared that information through a legal notice, notifying the prosecutor, the county prosecutor, Joanne Bernal. Okay, so Joanne Bernal has known for a long time that Bill Hicks was a usurper in the district attorney's office. Joanne Bernal was given all of this hard evidence, documented evidence, proving that Bill Hicks was a fraud. And then Loretta Lynn Hewitt, when she resigned, and this is very important, she called Bill Hicks a political opportunist. Okay, this is supposed to be the prosecutor. This is supposed to be the one that stops crime. That is quick, boom, boom, boom. Let's prosecute the crime. Nobody can get away with anything in our county. No one can get away with anything in our district. That's, to be a prosecutor, you need to be high caliber character. Like Richard. But no, we got a usurper, a thief in Bill Hicks. A thief. And that is why, right when he got back in, who did he rehire? John Briggs. He rehired John Briggs, and Loretta Lynn Hewitt, who was hired to prosecute that Walmart mass shooting case, called both of them out and said they're leaving these cases in pieces. They're leaving the cases in pieces. And even Yvonne Rosales in her statements was saying that she was denied information about these cases. So they were messing with her. And I absolutely believe that, because they've messed with us and they've tampered with this case. They've tampered, they've manipulated, They have threatened. They have all kinds of their sex cult evil stuff. They're selfish, evil, and violent. Vile. Pauline goes, "Why is this violent?" Look, you are vile and vulgar, and it causes so much violence. And there's so much violence done to children, so much violence with this criminal activity. The drug problems in itself is violence. The grooming of our children is violence. The pedophilia is violence. The pornography is child sex trafficking. That's violent. The arms trafficking is violent. It leads to so much harm. So much harm. And it hinders the economics, right? Progression. It hinders people from doing things they want to do because of the violence and the vile and vulgar and all that stuff. So Joanne Bernal has resigned. She knew about this not just this weekend, not because of us putting in the amicus notice, but I have to say, was it one more thing that we as people that want the right thing, because one thing we've learned in this is that we're not alone. Team Find Richard Halliday is not alone. There are investigations going on right now. And these investigations have been going on for quite a while. And notifications, legal notifications have been going out for quite a while. And so when we receive this information, and thank you so much for sending it, it was absolutely well known that Hicks's appointment is a fraud. And according to the Texas Constitution, from what I know, Yvonne Rosales is the actual district attorney. Because you cannot replace a district attorney until you have someone that is officially ready to fill her, officially instituted to fill her seat. Now, I'm not saying the legal terminology quite right, but Bill Hicks failed to do that. And so that means that Yvonne Rosales is still the district attorney. So I hope she understands that, and I wanted to make sure that she knows that we understand that. The other, and so the resignation of Joanne Bernal, 8 months early, okay? She was going to retire, I guess, They seem to want to retire or want to leave when it comes to the Richard Halliday case, because it's connected to the Walmart mass shooting case, and it's connected to the criminal activity that has been going on in that area, and the theft of identity. I cannot stress that enough, because in order to money launder all the money they make in all the trafficking, they steal identity. Okay, and that's how they buy the cars and the houses and da-da-da-da-da. They steal other people's identity, and that's why being in these key positions, like at the VA, like in the FBI, like in intelligence on Fort Bliss, like in the G3, like in the CID, where they have access, like in the IG there in El Paso. We don't talk about that enough, but absolutely we know who was up to no good in the IG. And of course, um, the, you know, Lieutenant General Donna Martin. So to be in these key positions, they have abused their positions, and they have used those positions to do us harm, to do us great harm. And I don't know how to stress that enough, because it's so bad and they need to be held accountable. And so this was very good news. I do not know if it was our amicus notice that was the last straw for all the information that was coming in to create the pressure that Joanne Bernal needed to resign. I hope so. I hope we had a little part in that, because we absolutely need a district attorney that is willing to address these capital murder crimes, these just crime, period, right? And to address us. Bill Hicks wouldn't even communicate with us. So, oh gosh, these people, I know who these people are coming on. Oh, okay. Um, yeah. So let me address some of the things that is on here. But Joanne Bernal resigning, uh, I hope we had a part in that. And I see that we're getting some comments, so I'll have to address those comments. The other thing, but I want to stay focused before I address the comments, because these are just people up to no good, right? Bob Moore is just a person up to. We come on right now on my live stream and communicate when we have tried to contact him a dozen times without any response. I mean, that that should tell you a lot. That that's that in itself tells you that he's up to no good. Okay, so I think this amicus notice with Richard Halliday's name on it, with because we also receiving this evidence now, we submitted a supplementary to our amicus notice, forwarding all of the, well, some what we were getting in. We need to do another supplement because it's just flowing in now. The evidence that we thought that the court needed to have, since this is a fraud on the court. And an amicus curiae means a friend to the court, and we are absolutely a friend to the court. And we know that they weaponize all of that, but we'll see. We'll see. This is a good sign. The other point, and I want to stay very focused here, is that the investigation has not only been on Bill Hicks, it's been on the chief medical examiner. And Mario Rascon Ortiz was investigated already. Now, we received autopsy reports that had his name on it, okay, about our son. And we wanted those confirmed. What are these? We didn't even know who the chief medical examiner for El Paso was. And then we get these, right? And it was absolutely heartbreaking. You can imagine getting autopsy reports for your son that, the Army doesn't even want to admit was murdered. So, and we're like, okay, can you explain these then? Explain these. And the judge, Judge Robert Shook, he just takes off. When we want an explanation for these autopsy reports, he just takes off. He leaves. I mean, here he is building this beautiful home, and then I guess he just had to leave. So, but what we have found out in the last hours is that Joanne Bernal was absolutely informed that there was a problem with his immigration packet. And I'm talking about Mario Raskin Ortiz right now, that he cannot be a medical examiner, a deputy medical examiner, a chief medical examiner. He cannot be that in Texas because medical examiners in Texas are a judicial office. And, I know that's in South Carolina also. And he is a judge. Essentially, he is a judge. And all of his duties are judicial. And so, he cannot touch a body. He does not have authority to touch a body. And yet, he was over all of those that had been murdered, had passed away, had died of wounds. He was in charge of the remains from Walmart mass shooting. Rest in peace, right? And so this is all illegal. He botched that whole case. Mario Raskin, if he signed a death certificate of our son, that's a felony. He cannot do that. And this was not just us finding out that there were these anomalies, there were irregularities. Now we have found out that was investigated already and already reported to Joanne Bernal. Now that was not in our amicus notice because the amicus notice was by SB4, and Bill Hicks cannot be a party of the SB4 case because he's not the legitimate district attorney. So this about the medical examiner is something that we could not report on in that amicus notice. But I'm reporting it to you right now because if you want to carry out major crime and you have control over the district attorney's office and the chief medical examiner's office, and you're up to no good, and you've got the FBI there, the supervisory director, Eddie Nieto Jr., with his wife working on Fort Bliss and intelligence, and all these conflicts of interest with Lieutenant Colonel Bugado in the G3 and Marlon Soto. It's just... And Angela Kachurga with the media, right? I mean, you can do all kinds of no good. And that's exactly what's happening. Because we pay so much money in law enforcement, and yet we are a mess. So you know them by their fruit, right? You know them by their fruit. And from the beginning, it was so insane and so absurd what they were saying. Because you have all of these major powerful entities. You have the military. You have the FBI. You have the DA office, the AG office. You have all the law enforcement there. All the money that El Paso pays for law enforcement. Then you have the LDS, very powerful, invested in that whole area. If they wanted peace, if they wanted prosperity, if they wanted a crime-free area, they could do it. But they don't want to do it. They don't. They allow the crime to happen. they allow the drug trafficking. They allow the human trafficking. They allow the pedophilia. They allow the sex cults. They allow the gun, all the trafficking, all the drugs, everything. And it has hurt people. Just ask Asia Graham's mom. Just ask the family of so many. And now, so this is really, really breaking news. And, you know, we want our son's remains. We want justice for our son. He's so beautiful in that video. If you haven't watched it, you need to watch it. Just so respectful and compliant, did everything he was asked. 20 years old. And they set him up, and they had no right to even arrest him. No right. It was such a frame. And it was because he was whistleblowing. And he told us, it's so bad. It's so bad, Mom. It's so bad I cannot stay in the Army. And this is from a distinguished honor graduate. He was so excited. Look at the letter. We have a letter from basic training to his grandparents corroborating what I'm telling you right now. We have his record of being the distinguished honor graduate for basic training and AIT, corroborating what I'm telling you right now. And we have, what is commission prosecutor? Okay, let me read some of these comments now, because I am not a legal scholar, you know. I am not. I am Richard's mom, and I want my son's remains. That's who I am. I want my son's remains. And I was made an investigator. I was made to bring forth evidence. Bring me evidence. Bring me leads. Bring me leads. Tell me what you have. Give us everything what you have. Right. Exactly. Exactly. I'm supposed to do, Team Find Richard Halliday is supposed to do the work of $1 trillion law enforcement. Just to clarify, there's no such thing as an amicus notice. There is a thing called an amicus brief. The court, okay, they're going to split hairs with me. It's, okay, we sent in an amicus notice, which is an amicus brief, which is an amicus curiae. Whatever. We're a friend of the court, and we sent it in. Thank you very much. Okay, sorry. I apologize. It's just, you know, it can get so frustrating. Next, district attorneys don't investigate anything. They prosecute or decide not to prosecute based on investigations by law enforcement agencies. Yvonne Rosales didn't investigate. She called for an investigation into the, you know, they're going to split hairs here, you know. She called for an investigation into the El Paso Community Foundation. And the Paso del Norte Foundation, the two groups that collected the funds. Those groups did not determine disbursements from the funds. That was handled by another organization completely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ruth. And Bob Moore just deleted all of his. Joanne Bernal is not the county prosecutor. She is a county attorney. Okay, the county attorney. But I think the article called her a county prosecutor. Isn't that what I saw? I saw that the article. Okay. Uh, Bernal is not okay. She is a kind. Thank you very much for that. Okay. I know that those investigating Bill Hicks notified Joanne Bernal. They notified. So, and Bob Moore just deleted all of his stuff. He just got on, and yeah, and he deleted it. This is, yeah. So they'll go behind your back. See, they'll go on social media and collaborate with Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia's attorney, right? After the community foundation is being looked into, is that a better way of saying it? Being looked into, because Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia is receiving tens of thousands of dollars, and there's questions about who she is and if she's a victim at all. So, and she targeted our son's case. She targeted our son's case. Why? And where is Bill Hicks, who has blocked our ability to email him? Where is he? He could answer these questions. But because he's a usurper, because he is not the legitimate district attorney, he is thwarting, he is sabotaging justice. He's a saboteur. And, you know, this is nothing personal against Joanne Bernal. What we have found out is that she had ample time to do something about this. She had ample time. But because these sex cultists, these criminals, they're absolute criminals involved in this criminal network with the cartel, are so brutal. Even someone like Joanne Bernal can't move forward. So I don't know who she is, but I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt. That how could you, like Yvonne Rosales, do anything with the likes of Bill Hicks around you, with the likes of all the criminal activity that's around you? How can you do the right thing? Richard tried to do the right thing. Look what happened to him. And I think that whistleblowers need to be protected. And this criminal activity and this criminal bullying and this sex cult criminal bullying needs to end. Somehow, some way, at least needs to be restrained. And so I'm happy that we are getting hard evidence in now, to show that the two main offices are corrupt. And the other thing is, this Bob Moore that came on. I don't even know if he's a real Bob Moore. Because you would not believe how many hoaxers there are. And how they steal identity. Richard's identity was stolen. And people were getting messages from Richard, and it wasn't Richard at all. So, you know, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But the truth is coming, right? It's coming up now. You can't stop the truth, and you cannot maintain these lies. And uh, even victims of this sex cult have been have lost their lives. And for many years, well, I would say a good part of this whole thing, I was always giving Boleyn the benefit of the doubt, knowing how young she is. When I found out in 2020 that she had just turned 18 in October of 2019, I think, or I have to go look, it was just like, what? Because she's a key suspect. She was pregnant at the time that we were there with her child. How can you not hope and pray that it's not what you think it is? And it just hasn't gotten better for her. And she still is a key suspect in our son's case. So, yeah, this whole thing has been absolutely heartbreaking. Absolutely. And people will do a lot. But hopefully, we're asking everyone now, if you have participated in the tampering, if you've participated in bullying our witnesses, of harassing, of tampering with evidence and records and all of that, or even more, come forward, because it's going to get too late. And it's not quite too late now, but it's going to get too late. And so we've been asking that. And when we first got to El Paso, not knowing the extent of this, and talking to Sean Bernabe, who is so dirty. Oh my gosh, he needs to be stripped of everything that goes along with our beautiful uniform and stars. Every benefit. He cannot have any benefit because he cannot be trusted with what we have that is good and true. He's committed treason, crimes against humanity. He cannot be trusted. And when we were telling him, we want people to come forward, and we want to know if we can offer immunity even for the worst offense. We said that then, and he looked at us like we were crazy, because we already knew that something very bad had happened to Richard. So we're asking people to come forward now before it's too late. So thank you so much. God bless you. And thank you, Ruth Teller. Sorry that I get a little, and I know you're protecting those that you care about, and jobs and careers and everything. But there are other people. There's a future that has to be protected. And Bill Hicks is a criminal. And I don't know what Joanne Bernal could have done in her position. But resigning at this time, I don't know if that was the right thing. She should have come forward. And I understand she's not protected. We're not protected. Do you understand? We have been threatened. We have been bullied. Our lives have been turned upside down. Because of Bill Hicks. Because of Eddie Nieto. Because of Bugado. Because of Sean Bernabe. Because of Marlon Soto. Because of that DA officer. We want our son's remains, and we want accountability. Thank you so much. God bless you. And I will see you tonight, maybe tonight, God willing.